Just doing a little weeding out on the top portion of our property. Welcome to a little episode of kinetic linking, Maverick Physical Therapy. And as I do this, growing up on the farms, my parents' farms back in Michigan, we had gardens and we had vegetables, and we had the luxury of being highly involved in this weeding process. So we've changing the landscape a lot at the house that we purchased, and we've got a lot of work to do. And we've started from the top, down at the bottom of the property. We're slowly working our way on up. As you can see, a little playhouse structure down there. Removed a lot of fencing and carried in a couple hundred wheelbarrows of dirt from other portions to so we're running out of space. Weeds are an interesting thing. They're as I look at these guys right here, these guys are super deeply rooted, especially when this property and when the soil out here in San Diego, it gets warm and we don't get much rain, it becomes really like concrete. So you see this weed and this root, and it goes down deep. It's really a pain in the butt to get on out. And when we're weeding like this, it reminds me a lot of kind of little growing up, pulling this stuff out, really not liking it, really arduous work. I mean, this one right here, there's like 20 to 30 strands that just go down and in, and they go everywhere. So as a physical therapist, pulling weeds actually reminds me a lot of the way that I interact with patients. Not that I'm pulling and plucking things from them, but that the way in which we look at patients, the problem that they come to us for, isn't going away unless we address the root of the problem. It was always funny growing up. Having a little sister, she didn't like to do a lot of weeding, but in order to get through things pretty quickly, you could if you really wanted to. In order to kind of make this weed apparently disappear quickly, is to chop the top off with a hoe. So the weed was there, but it really wasn't, if you understand what I'm saying. So you chop the top off, you pile this stuff up, it looks good, we went through it, but the root is still there. We didn't take care of, in terms of the cause and the effect, we didn't take care of the cause of this rampage, this raging swelling of weeds that literally takes over crops, prevents growth, and sucks up and sponges and nutrition from the areas that are most pivotal and need it most, and that are natural. When we talk about compensations and we talk about imbalances and inefficiencies, the way that things work in my line of field is that clinically, most all individuals, all institutions for sure, because they follow the format of what the APTA, the American Physical Therapy Association, dictates because of the testing that are in place for the national licensure exam, as any other medical profession does, is that there's a certain format that you will go through in terms of the evaluation process. Most likely they're specifically interested in the tissue specific impairment, which I am. I'm interested in terms of what you have going on and why you came to see me, why you have that irritation or that pain, or why you can't do something, which is creating you in your life a lot of irritation. But more importantly, we need to know why that is established, why you're having that, and where it's coming from, not where it is. It reminds me a lot of the on television, the Discovery Channel. There's a little TV show I've taken a liking to, not just because there's some serious nerds on it, but because I've always had a fascination for the weather. And on the Discovery Channel, there's a show called Storm Chasers. These little guys get in there with all their Doppler radar and all their crazy gadgets and gizmos, and they hunt down and chase down tornadoes. And they love to get as close as they can so they can measure everything that they need to be able to study and find out more about tornadoes, and maybe perhaps the ability to protect us and make advancement in terms of how we can protect people from being injured. And so often in my line of work, we become pain chasers. We chase the pain but don't look for the problem. And honestly, the pain, the irritation, the rehab diagnosis, which is the tissue that's painful, that's the easiest thing to find. And that's not easy. That's the easiest thing to find. To hunt down the root of things is the most critical and the most crucial for you moving forward to be successful, for you to have restoration, short and long term. It might not be so beautiful short term in that we live in this society, in this culture, in this world of instant gratification. We want things done now and we want things taken away immediately. But unfortunately, your problem didn't come on overnight. It was established and rooted in several days, maybe weeks, and even years in terms of the accumulation of this weed growing from this tiny little seed up to the surface and then blowing up top. I wish it would be as easy as allowing us to chop this thing on off. It would be the easy thing, but I also wish more so that things remain the same, things remain a mystery, so that we can hunt down the root of your problem. So we've got some big boy roots right here and weeds, and so it's always good to remove these guys right down at the base if we can. And this is a big guy right here. This is the big kahuna. We'll see if we can get them all. And so, and we managed to get them all. Had my eye on this guy for a little while. As you can see with a close-up here, is that we've got this massive weed. So this is all going to be rototilled in, seeded. This crazy adult-like outside physical therapy, performance enhancement place, play place for the kids, for my family, for all my friends, and for all my patients and just friends. And as you can see here, this bad boy has some kind of root system on it. There's a couple little guys that are straggling behind that I'll be sure to pull them on out. But if all we're doing is with a weed, these guys are resilient, man. If all we're doing is chopping a couple pieces off and stuff like that, we're really fooling ourselves. If we really want to be real with it, if we really want to get to the root of things, we need to get to the root of things. We need to be willing to look in the mirror, to know that, hey, you know what? I've got a battle, I've got a fight ahead of me. This is something that I knowingly or unknowingly contributed to and let fester and continue to feed gasoline to this fire, again, knowingly or unknowingly, for days, for months, for possibly for several years. We're talking decades. And it's gotten me to this point in which I'm at right now. This is, look at this root system. We've got roots that are like 2.5 feet long here. And this massive ball of epicenter right here of weeds. This stuff is so tough. This stuff is not going away. As we begin this restoration process in function, we're going to be wiggling away the root at its base. We're going to be poking, we're going to be prodding. We're not necessarily going to be going for the home run right off the bat for sure. Because all this is going to do is irritate some things. But eventually, we need to be able to extract this entire thing. And how we do that is by knowing how the body biomechanically functions in function, specific to your function, and specific to the fundamental principles that make us a human being. That is my expert as an applied functional scientist and the expert in biomechanics and the primary care physician of the musculoskeletal system, to know what I need to be able to do to evaluate and assess you, to feed off of your successes, but then for you to in your body to be able to show me where and how I need to be working to extract this bad boy right here. This is a weed. this is its roots. If all we do is take away the weed, we still have the roots. We still have the problem. We take away the roots, we take away the weed, we all can play happy and live happily ever after, right? Well, we're human, we're asymmetrically imbalanced, we're all kind of messed up a little bit. We've all got a lot of continuous work to do. Know that we're all in this for the long haul, whatever that means. Could be a few weeks, could be a few months, could be several years. We've got activities, we got strategies, we have techniques, we have principles that are truthful to what it means to be a human being that we need to observe in order to enable you, enable me, enable us to close the gap in on your genetic potential. If you're willing to work, I can help you extract this guy. It's not going to be easy, but you're going to have to fight like heck to pry this thing on out. I remember the days on my dad's farm. We're talking acres. We're talking hundreds of acres of vegetables. We started with the garden. I remember in one season in particular, man, I must have been, I don't know how old I was, maybe 8 or 9. We were given the chore to be in charge of weeding the garden. And well, we didn't, maybe a family vacation and some other things got in the way, or we just didn't do it. And the weeds were massive. They overtook the corn, they overtook the broccoli and the cauliflower, which were delicacies to us. They overtook the tomatoes and the eggplants and the peppers. And it was just an epic disaster. I still remember my dad right now hooking up the butch hog, a flail mower that's used to mow the orchard grasses that are 2 to 3 feet tall or higher, and just basically going through the garden and mowing the whole thing under. There is literally no hope. So the hope is that we can extract this before it continues to spread, that we can be industriousness to pursue our passion in moving and exploring and being adventurous, to know that we are uniquely made and unrepeatable, and that we can collaborate and find good collaborative, integrative care and love and concern for what we have going on, so that we can address the issue at hand. I'm telling you from experience, what we deal with in terms of these rehabilitation diagnoses are rooted in something much deeper, something much greater, and something more vast than the immediate effect that it is portrayed in. If all we do is focus on that one little area and that one little thing that's irritable and painful, your expectation should not be success and a removal. Your expectation should be that, all right, it's just a shifting for the time being, although there might be some temporary success involved. There is going to be a lot of long-term failure. There's going to be a lot of long-term mishaps. So it's in our best interest to question, to know, to seek, and to find out why we're having what we're having. And it is in our best interest to figure out, where is this rooted. This weed is done. We have another straggler here. And another straggler right here. Sometimes we get everything over time. Sometimes this shows up in another area, and we keep working because we're on the right track. We're chasing it down. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. Weeds de-root your body. Prepare for closing the gap on your genetic potential, and for you to experience what it means to be an unrepeatable mover, creature, and critter that is capable of a lot more than what you're